What's up, y'all? This is John and Mike back for another episode of the Nothing Finer podcast. As always, you can find us on Millions and as a part of the Fans First Sports Network. Um, this is part 8 of Jackpot, what happened in 2007. Tonight we're getting into weeks 10 and 11. But before we get into anything else, I want to update you guys on some stuff that we've been working on. Um, so we are working with somebody to get, I know we talked about it last year and we worked on it, but we're getting somebody on to talk about the new rules in college football. Probably hit on a little bit of the stuff last year too. um and we're really excited about that. It's pretty big opportunity for us there. And we are confirmed doing the watch party at Barrel House in Savannah, right next to City Market, August 31st. We'll be there all day. Um, and then we talked about it last week, but we do have the Smart Back Make Georgia Champs Again hats now available. So just want to update y'all on that real quick. But how you been? What are you drinking?
I actually don't have anything with me, but I'm good. I'm tired. Kind of did an impromptu trip to Greenville, South Carolina. My mom was there, seeing her friend's daughter and stuff like that, along with her friend. So kind of did a day trip. Well, I guess it wasn't a day trip, but we went out there kind of on a whim, got a hotel, and then drove back this morning. But dude, I'm tired. You know what? Trips usually wouldn't bother me before, but like I am fucking exhausted.
Yeah.
How about you?
Good. We went to see our friends just outside of Charlotte for his son's second birthday party. Um got to eat lunch with Kelsey's grandparents, which we always try to do when we go up there.
Sweet.
Um but I learned the hard way not to or to actually follow the instructions that come with medication. Um Sometimes when medicine says do not drink alcohol while on this medication, you should listen. Um,
That's for nerds. Don't listen to that.
I will be from now on after the experience that I had last night into this morning. Yeah, that was very, very unpleasant. So yeah, listen, you know what, man? Maybe doctors are smart. I don't know if anybody's ever thought of that before. Maybe doctors are smart.
Depends on what you're a doctor in, because I know plenty of doctors of education that are not, and that's not a shot. That's not a political thing. That's
No,
just
no.
people I know in my line of work. So yeah,
I mean, I know a few people with doctorates that are some of the smartest people I know.
yeah,
So,
Mhm.
but both of them are, well, one's medical, one's biology. So,
Yeah, both. Those are legit. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
You can't fake your way through that shit. That
All
stuff.
right, so we're going to jump into it talking about the Week 10 poll. This was week after the cocktail party we talked about last week. So Ohio State still at 1, Boston College still at 2. Everything until number 9 stays the same. So we got LSU 3, Arizona State 4, Oregon 5, Oklahoma 6, West Virginia 7, Kansas 8. Then we get into a lot of movement for like the next 10.
Yeah.
Mizzou goes up 4 spots to number 9, Georgia up 8 spots to 10, Virginia Tech stayed at 11, Michigan up 8 spots to 12, UConn stayed 13, Hawaii stayed 14, Texas moved up 4 to 15, Auburn up 6 to 16. Yep, that I read that right. Uh Alabama up 7 spots to 17. USF moved down 8 to 18. USC down 7 to 19. Florida down 9 spots to 20.
Three L's.
Yes, three
Yeah.
L's at this point. I'm assuming we'll be saying that like week 4 or 5 this year.
Mhm.
Wisconsin at 21, Boise State 22, Virginia 23, Wake Forest 24, Clemson at 25.
Yeah. Lots of movement for sure.
Lots of movement. I honestly think that they just caught somebody farting on the sideline for you know, USC or USF, and that's why they were like, "Oh, dude, they got to go way down."
Yeah, wait. Yeah, right.
Dropped.
Not serious programs.
So first game we're talking about Troy at number 10 Georgia. Georgia won this game 44-34, and Troy outgained Georgia 488 to 465. Troy had 401 yards passing to Georgia's 225. But Georgia outgained them on the ground 240 to 115. Biggest difference in this game, Troy had 5 turnovers. Georgia did have 3, but they still won the turnover margin by 2. Um, so that I'd love to go back and see the weather for this game because it is early November, and that's when
Mm,
Athens loves to just get pissed on in rain.
yeah,
Um,
true.
uh, Troy ended up winning the time of possession in this game by almost 3 minutes. But yeah, Georgia should have lost this game.
Yeah. Yeah, it
I'm
was definitely a game they overlooked their opponent for good reason. I mean, well, I think Troy beat LSU a few years ago, right?
2017 or 2018, Troy beat
Yeah.
LSU.
Yeah. So, I mean, mid-major, I know that's more of a basketball term, but yeah, Troy can, you fuck around, you find out with them.
With the 12-team playoff, we need to bring mid-major into football.
Yeah,
We need to
bringing
make it happen.
Lexicon. Yeah.
We're talking about your App State, your Troy's, your South Alabama's last year. They whooped up on Oklahoma State, um,
Liberty.
Liberty, Georgia State. Tennessee remembers.
Yep, never. Yeah, they do. Yes, they do.
Yeah, we're bringing mid major to football until I forget. Um,
We still got a month
so
till the season. Yeah. We'll see.
yeah, we got a lot going on here too. So that
Yeah.
we'll try to bring it in.
Yeah.
Number 12 Michigan at Michigan State. Michigan won this game 28-24. Um,
Yeah. So
yeah, I'll need
this,
you to explain this.
yeah. Um, so Mike Hart, former Michigan running back or running back at this time, I think he's like the career rushing leader for in Michigan football or whatever, or at least top 3 or whatever. But he after the game, like you said, Michigan won by 4. After the game, he did his press post game press conference deal, and he was just kind of laughing. I can't remember the exact question that was asked of him. He's like, how did you let them hang around? So, he's like your little brother. You let them hang around for a little while, and then you put the foot down and beat them up. They're a little brother. He kept calling him little brother. So after that, Mark D'Antonio, they brought it up that Mike Hart called him little brother, and he just fucking snarled and just like he was just like red in the face, but like he wasn't like yelling or anything. Like, he was like a quiet confidence. He's like, all right, yeah, we'll remember that. And they did for the next like 7-8 years. It was bad. But everybody talks about, little brothers and things like that. But I don't think it was verbalized in that series until then. Because it's what everybody thinks. Michigan
Yeah.
naturally. Come on, Michigan State. They're good every once in a while. They made the playoff once. But they are the little brother. But again, for the next like 7-8 years after that, they definitely were not the little brother. But traditionally they are. So it was interesting. It gets brought up all the time in that rivalry now. Like every time they play each other, that clip, both sides of it come out.
Sorry, I was muted for a second. Brother-in-law's beagle is trying to bark his literal lungs out of his throat in the backyard. It's very pleasant if you've never heard of a beagle. Yeah, I was about to say for most of the time I remember watching football, Michigan became the little brother for the better part of a decade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what, like 2008 through like, well, I
And
think
then,
was it 2017 was like the weird like the blocked punt return for a touchdown that Michigan lost in Harbaugh's first year. That was either 16 or 17. I can't remember.
yeah, because it
16.
took it took a few years for Harbaugh to finally start regularly winning that game.
Yeah. So yeah, it was about 8-9 years. Yeah.
And now it's just completely gone back to Michigan State being little brother.
Yeah. Like I think Michigan shut them out like 48-0 last year in East Lansing. But again, that was a different circumstance. But yeah, it's back to the way it should be.
Yeah. Michigan State, their running back Devon Ringer had a 72-yard run to go
He
to
had 100.
go.
Yeah, he had 128 rushing yards altogether, but he did most of that came on one run.
And then Mike Hart, 15 carries for 110 yards. 128 is a little bit bigger than 110, I think. So little brother in yards that day.
Well, Mike Hart's like 5'6". He's like a slower Darren Sproles.
I gotcha. Um, Sticking in the Big Ten, 21 Wisconsin at number one Ohio State. Ohio State won this game 38-17. The
Uh,
running back at the time,
Beanie
what's up?
Wells. Yeah, no, Beanie Wells. I thought I put it
Okay.
in there, but yeah, Beanie Wells was silly. He was really good.
21 carries, 169 yards,
Nice.
and 3 touchdowns. Um, that sounds like a Blake Corum stat line from last year.
Hmm. And look at them. Ohio State was number one when they were doing shit like that. Crazy, right?
Yeah. Florida State at number two, Boston College. Wild that Florida State's unranked and Boston College is number two in this, but that
2007.
just is 2007. Florida State won this game 27-17 in the comeback, the return of the curse of the number two. Matt Ryan had a Mike Leach stat line.
Yeah.
26-53, 415 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 picks. And Boston College lost the turnover battle 4-0 against Florida State.
Again, you fuck around, you find out. Even if against a subpar Florida State team, I think Bobby Bowden is not quite a human Roomba like Joe Paterno was, but he wasn't that far off. Stuff happens when you mess around.
Yeah. LSU number three at 17 Alabama. LSU won this game 34-31. Matt Flynn, Mike's favorite quarterback of the 2010s. 24 of 44, 353 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. John Parker Wilson, selfish of him to have 2 last names, just.
You know what? That's someone that would try to assassinate somebody with 3 names.
14 of 40 for 234 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception.
That's such a weird stat line.
Yeah, after you just have to assume at some point he's like 8 of 35, and they're like, you know what? Let's call another fucking pass play. He'll figure it out.
Yeah, that is wild. Like when speaking of Matt Flynn, though, I mean, in just like Packers quarterbacks that have one good season or part of a good season, you see your boy Jordan Love, highest paid quarterback of all time, after 1 year.
Yeah. That's one of the things that Green Bay loves to do. What they like to do is say, who's the most mid running back on the market right now? All right, cool. We'll pay him.
Yeah.
There's a lot of receivers in free agency this year. We don't need one of those. How much can we pay the quarterback?
Yeah, because he can do it all. He can pass, catch, run, all that.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, actually, can we take some money from the defensive line to pay the quarterback? Because quarterback needs it. We don't need defense. We need quarterback.
You know what they should do is they should just give Jordan Love all the money. Just give him all of it, and then he disperses it as he sees fit.
Yeah. It's like you earn your check around here. Uh-huh. You get paid what I think you deserve after that game.
Merit pay.
Yeah. Green Bay Packers as an organization drive me literally insane. That is why I quit watching the NFL.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why? It's one of those things of where everybody in the room, everybody in the NFL, everybody that talks about football is like, yeah, this is probably what you should do. Nah, we'll figure it out. They haven't.
No, we're the Packers. No.
When's the last time they had it figured out? 2010
10?
is when
Yeah,
they
10.
won?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then before that was what, 98? 97?
97, 98, something like that. Yeah. No,
So what we know is Jordan Love will get one Super Bowl and then just waste the next like 15 years after that or around that.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds
Good
right.
enough. It's good enough for them. I mean,
I
I would kill for that. That'd be awesome.
Let's put it like this. The Lions made the NFC Championship more recently than the Packers. They're doing something wrong.
Hell's frozen over.
We all remember a time when the Lions managed to not win a single game through an entire NFL season.
Mhm. Shit, and
And they have made the NFC Championship more recently.
I'm gonna
That,
say in countless like 3 or less win seasons in that time
yeah.
too. It's not like it's been a bunch of good. It's been pretty bad for the most part outside of like 3 Matt Stafford years and then last year.
I mean, the year before last, what, Lions
They were nine and
barely
eight.
made or didn't make the playoff?
They they went 9-8. They kept Green Bay out.
Correct.
That was nice. Never forget Aaron Rodgers' last pass that somebody caught, interception by the Lions. Kirby Joseph, shout out him.
Yep. Yep. I just, I don't, I don't like stupid people. And
Why
that's
are we doing this?
great question. Because I like myself enough to be stupid for all y'all, you know?
Hell yeah.
Number 4, Arizona State at number 5, Oregon. Ended up winning this game 35-23 with quarterback Dennis Dixon going 13 to 22 for 189 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 11 carries for 57 yards. All of these stat lines seem like what it's either a grown man that has a full-time job on Heisman mode or a kid that the first time they picked up a controller was to play college football.
Yeah, for real. But Dennis Dixon was so good. I don't remember again. I mean, we'll get to it what in a couple weeks or whatever, but he had a he should have went to New York if he didn't. He had a really good season. This game was a little bit weird, but yeah.
And then future Panther Jonathan Stewart, 21 carries, 99 yards, and 1 touchdown. Why couldn't they give him one more yard?
Really.
We had Nebraska at number 8, Kansas, and I promise you this is not a typo. Kansas won this game 76-39. Kansas quarterback Todd Reesing, 30 of 41, 354 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And Kansas, go ahead.
No, so it's wild. They had over what they had, not good at math, but over 100 points.
Yes.
112, 13, 12, something like that.
Yeah, one team didn't hit 40, and the game still went over 100 points.
Wild.
Kansas had 21 points in the first quarter, 27 in the second, 21 in the third, and 7 in the fourth. Sounds like JT Daniels would have checked himself out after the first quarter.
Definitely. Yep, I'm sure that's going to be his plan. Oh, where's he coaching at?
Well, he
Where's he
was at
coaching?
Rice.
I know he was. Oh, that's right.
I don't know where he's at now.
He's got to be a grad assistant somewhere. I thought I heard him somewhere, but now I don't remember. Oh, come on.
Yeah, it's got to. Navy beat Notre Dame in South Bend 46-44. Navy had all of 82 yards passing, which is
A lot.
I was about to say about 82 more than their typical game.
Right.
Navy ran for 257 yards to Notre Dame's 235, and just the ultimate. This is why football north of the Mason-Dixon late in the year is difficult to watch.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in Notre Dame, I think at this point they're what 1-8, 1-9. Like they're an abomination.
You know, I'm just gonna. I had a lot of things come into my head to say that should not be said, so I will not. Week 11 BCS poll. That's it for week 10. So the week 11 poll, you got Ohio State still at 1, LSU at 2, Oregon 3, Kansas 4, Oklahoma 5, Mizzou up to 6, West Virginia 7, Boston College down to 8, Arizona State down to 9, Georgia State at 10, which is shocking with
Georgia.
this year's poll.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech 11, Michigan 12, UConn 13, Texas 14, Florida somehow moved up to 15. Hawaii down to 16.
Hmm.
USC 17, Auburn 18, Virginia 19, Boise State 20, Clemson 21, Alabama 22, Penn State 23, Tennessee 24, Kentucky 25. First game we're talking about, number 18, Auburn at number 10, Georgia. This is the blackout game, 2007. Georgia won this game 45-20. I don't think we've spent much time talking about this game before.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm like, how did we miss this one?
Yeah, that is a great question. I love occasionally it'll pop up through social media of players being interviewed about that game years later
Mhm.
and how none of them had any clue whatsoever.
That is insane. Can you imagine something like that happening today?
Yeah, that's yeah. But warming up in the normal jerseys, equipment guys busting ass in the locker room during warm-ups to get everybody all their black gear. And then come back in, coaches say, hurry up and get changed. Coming out to Soldier Boy.
You got Burn and Gary cranking it.
Yeah.
Oh,
All time vibe game.
hmm incredible. No Sean and Thomas Brown just doing the whole thing. Vern shaking uncontrollably. It's a good time. Every time it comes up. I mean, that's usually the one thing that comes up for me in my in thanks to my algorithm is that it's just Vern and Gary watching Thomas and Noshan do it. So
Yeah. In this game, Stafford went 11-19 for 237 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Noshawn had 22 carries for 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. I had to read that a couple of times.
it was like he had 1,000 yards in this game. Holy shit.
He had
Space bar didn't work.
1,012 yards in this game and only 1 touchdown. How?
He only won by 25. Yeah.
Just a little typo. Thomas Brown, 14 carries for 81 yards, 1 touchdown. It was a 53-yard touchdown run, but this was after his shoulder injury he was coming back from
That's wild.
against the
Usually
Tennessee game.
yeah, usually you're out. I feel like you're out for a lot longer than that with that, but good, shout out Thomas.
Yeah, he was, it's one of those things where I like to think in my head that he was not supposed to play in this game and then go back in the locker room, see the jerseys, and he's like, fuck you, coach. I'm playing.
Yeah.
I'm playing.
Right. Yeah.
This is history. I'm not missing it.
Yeah. I only need one arm to carry the ball.
Yeah, just make sure you hand it off, put some extra stickum on this glove. We'll be fine.
There we go.
We had number 12, Michigan at Wisconsin. Badgers won this game 37-21. Ryan Mallett in this just what is as someone who's not a doctor, what's the heartbeat thing called? I know it's a sinus rhythm, but what's like the
Uh, Jesus.
y'all know what I'm talking about? Like a
Yeah.
heart monitor, you can see it going up and down. That's Ryan Mallett's season.
Mitochondria. It's powerhouse of the cell. That's all I'm.
And gym teachers.
Yeah.
Ryan Mallett did play most of this game, looked awful. 11-36, 245 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Mike Hart didn't play in this game. Michigan did have 2 different 100-yard receivers in Mario Manningham and Adrian Arrington. I'm assuming that the reason shoulder pads were still this big was to fit these last names on the jerseys.
Dude, you're telling me. Manningham, it blew my mind that somebody could have that long of a last name, like when he first got on the scene.
Roethlisberger is a hell of a name.
Mm-hmm. Well, nobody know who that motherfucker was until he got drafted. Like, I mean, Miami of Ohio, like, what, like the 7th best team in that state?
Yeah, most of the time.
Yeah.
Wisconsin basically doubled Michigan's time of possession winning this game. This was Michigan's 3rd loss of the season.
Yeah, what? So App State, of course, Oregon, and then yeah, then here. Yep. Tough.
So Illinois at number one Ohio State. Illinois ended up winning this game 28-21. And just, as because this is our second or third Illinois reference of this series, I just want everybody to know we have attempted to reach out to Juice Williams and ask why ESPN hates him because he has no stats.
Yeah,
So,
if you go back and on ESPN.com and go way back to this game 2007, it doesn't even show that Illinois attempted to pass. If you look at the individual stats, no pass attempts, nothing.
but they had receiving.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. And
Yeah,
they won and they won.
yeah,
I I don't get it. I tweeted at Juice. We brought him up before. Just wanted to know why ESPN hates him, and he's willing to come on to discuss.
yeah. Like Mr. Juice, at any point in time, if you would like to talk about it, I'll call out of work if I need to. We'll get this figured out.
Mhm.
Um, but Juice Williams was 12-22 for 140 yards and 4 touchdowns, and he also had 70 yards on the ground. Brian Hartline, 4 catches, 86 yards. The big thing here is Illinois won the game, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah, for real. That's wild. Like, I mean, we'll talk more about Illinois later in this series too, again, but I can't. Illinois doesn't have that much of a great football history. This is probably again Mount Rushmore of just like individual games for them. Like, I think if the Big Ten does like their, you know, like the SEC version of Takeover Day, I'm sure this is on it every time.
Got to be. Mostly, I'm assuming it's mostly basketball and probably like lacrosse
Yeah.
or curling or one of those other northern sports.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, so we got number 8 Boston College at Maryland in their second loss in a row. Maryland won this game 42-35. Mid Ryan, sorry Matt, we really
Cover.
are fans. We are, but you had a couple of sucky games.
Yeah.
33 of 56, 421 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maryland wide receiver and former Raider Darius Hayward Bay, 75 yards receiving and 37 yards on the ground in the Terps win.
In a what is that Big East at the time? Big East.
Had to be Big East.
No, ACC. ACC. All right.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Maryland
We
was in
get
the ACC for sure. I know that.
2007 Big East football.
Yeah, I think they both were ACC, right? At this
Yeah,
time.
you are correct. They were
Yeah.
both ACC.
I mean, it wouldn't have surprised me if they're both in the Big East either, because again, both are not usually that good anyway. So yeah.
Yeah. Another team that's not very good. Number 13, UConn goes to Cincinnati in a Big East game.
There you go.
Cincinnati won this game 27-3. I think the most notable thing about this is UConn had football and was ranked.
Hmm. And I want to say, I don't know if this UConn team, they didn't have Dan Orlovsky. I think he got drafted the year before. So, I mean, there's nobody of note.
Lions great, Dan Orlovsky.
Never forget. I don't know if you ever, if it, again, in the algorithm, if it came up for you, but somebody
The
was talking.
Megatron interview.
Yeah, when they're talking about it, it's like, ask him if he cost him, if he was the reason he went 0-16. It's like, well, he didn't help. Or he said, yeah, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he threw him under the bus as he should have.
I heard, I guess it was another part of the interview, but Megatron, he was running his route on that play. He was asked specifically about that play. And he was
Hmm.
running his route and, just here's a whistle blow. See, they got a safety, goes back to the sideline, and then sees like somebody on the way to the sideline goes, do you know that motherfucker stepped out of the back of the end zone? And he's like, what? And he thought they were joking. He goes back to the sideline, watches the replay overhead, and he's like, it's something about like I had a hard time not saying something or not hitting him
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, that's yeah.
So I want to say that was his rookie year.
Yeah, I
So
just,
yeah,
you
that'd been
know,
tough. I remember exactly where I was at when that happened. I think I had just started at the restaurant that I was working at in high school, and I was bussing a table like when they had it on, and I was just sitting there like, during that happened. I think I dropped the loudest like MF and just like went in the back, and I just in the manager fuming. It was like that's I think at that point I think everybody realized that 0-16 was a possibility, and that happened like in the second quarter.
yeah, yeah, that's, what happened to Dan? He's not really even on ESPN anymore. What happened to Dan?
I don't know. You know what, the I think besides for the safety, the self safety, I think the thing I know him most for is calling the Georgia Tech game for like 3 years in a row. It was just I was just mad the entire time. Like, shut up.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want to hear it. I don't care that you played in the NFL for like 15 years. I don't care.
yeah. No, no one cares. You are literally remembered for one thing, and it is not anything you've done well.
Hmm. I mean, he's like the human victory cigar in terms of like tanking. Like, like with the Lions did that. He was like the Colts quarterback when Peyton Manning, missed the whole year before Andrew Luck. Like he cemented their number one pick to get him. Like
If you want a number one pick,
yeah,
have Dan Orlovsky play quarterback for you.
yeah, he at least two, if not three teams. He played a big role in that. So shout out Dan, Dick.
Speaking of some dicks, number 15 Florida at South Carolina. Florida won this game 51-31. Tebow had a pretty good day, 22 of 32, 304 yards, two touchdowns, one interception, but he also had 26 carries for 120 yards and five touchdowns.
It's stupid.
So he had all of their touchdowns.
Yeah, that's cool.
Solid.
7 touchdowns.
That, for him to be religious, he sure is selfish. Like you could have given a few of those touchdowns away.
He could have. I mean, yeah.
Someone really needs to watch over your shoulder when you write these. Aaron Hernandez hung around for a little bit in the game, one catch for 55 yards.
He was there. Just just a little bit.
Somebody that wasn't there, Percy Harvin didn't play in this game because he and Tebow were pretty much their only offense in 2007. He was injured quite a bit.
Yeah. I assume it was a concussion related thing, maybe, or migraine related thing. I don't know. I didn't really look too deep into it because this game was blowout.
Um, 22 Alabama at Mississippi State. The Cowbells did their job for Mississippi State to win this game 17-12. And for the second time this season, Bama's only offense was field goals.
Can you imagine if that happened today? I mean, it's not going to happen with DeBoer, but
I mean, honestly, with Alabama's history of field goal kickers, they may not score if that's the game.
true. I mean, the one they had last year was obvious. He was legit, but yeah, like most of
Yeah,
Saban's
Saban
tenure is
started
bad.
giving scholarships to
Yeah.
kickers once they lost at least one game and potentially a national championship
Yeah.
from not being able to make a kick.
Someone as smart as him, you'd think that they would care a little bit more about special teams, but that's kick six, missed field goals. I mean, that's a weak spot for a blind spot for him.
We have number 4 Kansas at Oklahoma State. Kansas won this game 43-28. I'm assuming just another absurd day from their quarterback. Texas A&M at Mizzou in a Big 12 matchup. Mizzou ended up winning this game 40-26. Texas Tech in Austin at the number 14 Texas Longhorns. Texas won this game 59-43. And that does it for weeks 10 and 11. We're probably going to double up at least one, maybe two more times in the series, try and get it done before football season comes out. Because I think we have the second episode for every week before football season pretty much planned out now.
Yeah.
So trying to
Oh,
hurry up and get
yeah.
this done, but still do it some justice.
Something that we forgot to mention was the whole Ra Thomas thing.
Yes. I like we did last year with all the stuff happening. We try to hold opinions until court cases play out. Um, but if it tells you anything, the team suspended him indefinitely that same day.
Mm.
So
And
just
for all the crap that and today earlier today Kirby had posted like a scheduled tweet wishing Rah Rah happy birthday, and I think it took him like 10 or less minutes to delete it, but got all kinds of shit.
an assistant posted that.
Yeah,
Kirby
yeah.
don't tweet.
There's not a chance that I mean, the only thing Kirby posts are birthdays and go dogs when he gets a verbal or verbal commit or whatever. So like
Yeah,
he doesn't run that at all. There's not a
no,
chance.
no.
So
Um, yeah, I mean, with this being the second time Rah Rah's been arrested for something in and around the realm of violence, it would truly shock me to see him in a Bulldogs uniform.
yeah, yeah.
Hate it, talented dude, but at a certain point, your behavior and character does not outweigh your talent. And if you
Yeah.
cannot correct yourself and fix mistakes that you've made in the past, that also outweighs your talent. But with the depth of Georgia's wide receiver room, he's a name that a lot of people have overlooked this offseason. So he will be missed on the field, but if that's the kind of person he is off the field, it's probably best that
Mm.
he's not on the field.
I will say in the college football video game, I made him like my seventh wide receiver and put Evans and Arian out there because they have Arian way down on that depth chart, at least to
They
start
do.
off. So I put Arian as my number one, just like go route.
Yeah.
E- Even on Heisman, it doesn't matter.
If he catches the ball, it's a touchdown every
Yeah.
time.
Yep. Hmm.
I will say Anthony Evans as punt returner in that game, he's the only person in the game I have a punt return touchdown with. I have kick
Yeah.
return touchdowns, but he is the only person I have a punt return touchdown with.
I had like the first like two times I played it with Georgia, I think I had like Dominic Lovett had like two kick return touchdowns. It was wild. It's like I don't usually do that.
But yeah, I'm excited to see Anthony Evans this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So yeah, well, they can weather the storm by potentially losing Rah Rah, but I mean you hate to see it, but self-inflicted
Yeah,
possibly.
it's a phrase I use with a lot of situations in my life. If you're going to shoot yourself in your foot, don't complain that you're bleeding.
There you go.
And, you know, if you made a series of choices that put you in this position, deal with it.
What's that meme from The Simpsons with Skinner like, oh, I must be out of touch. No, it's everyone else that's wrong.
But that's going to do it for this episode of the Nothing Finer podcast. As always, follow us on social media. Words at nothing.finder.pod on Instagram, at finderpod on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Just search us up. We are Nothing Finder Podcast on TikTok. I've been slacking on getting clips to Mike to put on there, but we will be correcting that. But as always, guys, remember there's nothing finer in the land
Than a drunk, obnoxious Georgia fan.